officially invited to join the inner circle of top leaders from all over the country. Listen and learn as these obsessed entrepreneurs reveal the secrets that led to their success. Welcome to the community. Today's episode starts now.
Oh, God. Okay. So I'm just going to get going on it. We'll start. Well, I'll introduce you and do the deal. Pretty cool. Right?
Sweet.
We're literally having a conversation. Love it.
Love it.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the community. I am pretty pumped today because I get one of my really good friends, family members, essentially, and just good person, entrepreneur. I mean, honestly, this is somebody that I've looked up to for a while and helped me actually get to a position where I'm at now. It wouldn't be for him and his beautiful wife. I don't know if I would be in Austin right now. So I like to introduce Joseph Valenzuela. How you doing, buddy?
Very good. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, I'm stoked about this. Honestly, I've interviewed so many people, and this is one I'm like, man, the problem I've already figured out is that I feel like I could talk to you for like days, and I'm like, okay, we have to figure out where we're gonna cut this thing off. That's what I'm all like. That's already going to be the challenge for me. So, so Joe's been an entrepreneur. You've been an entrepreneur for, since I've known you. I remember you were doing multi-level marketing. You were working at a company called Secret, just crushing it. I moved to Austin. Give us a little background, kind of, I think, how you grew up and kind of how you developed that entrepreneurial spirit. Because, learning from you, which I have, I've watched you and been like, okay, this dude knows what's going on. What can I learn from him? And which is all what life's about. So I'm like wondering, and I don't think I've ever asked you, like, where did that entrepreneurial spirit come from? Where did it start? What planted that seed that you're like, man, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, man, I think it was more so. So my parents had me when they were 16. We grew up in Southern California, came up in the 90s, early 2000s. And my dad was a construction worker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we definitely didn't have a lot of money growing up. I think the good thing about growing up, in kind of lower middle income America is you're kind of surrounded by other lower middle income people. So you don't really know you're poor. You just that's just life.
Yeah.
So all my friends, we grew up just playing outside but as I started to get a little bit older, I had to work to get my car and go to get date money and go to get those things. And there was no money. I was paying my own car insurance and cell phone bills, as a teenager.
Right.
And so just if you wanted to take a pretty girl out, you had to have some money to do it, and so I was always, had a hustle, had some kind of a side hustle going on, from selling candy in bulk originally in school. And then network marketing came along, and some guy in a fancy car came up to me, and he was making $20,000 a month, which may as well have been $1 million a month to me at the time. I was like, what? $20,000 a month? What? And he was like, how'd you like to do this? And I was like, what are we selling? Yeah, I'm in. And so that was the fancy start to network marketing. I just met a guy who was doing well that told me he would teach me. So it's not like I planned on being that. I just got recruited when I was in college. I was 21 years old, fumbled around with that industry for a couple of years, didn't make very much. And then by the time I was in my mid 20s, I was making about as much as my dad. A 6-figure income in your mid 20s. And for me in school, looking back now, I wish I would have taken school a lot more seriously. And I wish that was kind of put on me to care about it more. In our house growing up, it was like, just don't bring home C's. You're not allowed to, you're going to get in trouble if you bring home a C, but as long as you don't do that, you're fine. And so, it just got enough to get by. And then, but I was always more attracted to figuring out how to make money. And so by the time I was in my late 20s, we started making $50,000 a month, $60,000 a month, $102,000 a month was our best month. And, was one of the top 30 under 30 in the world in that profession. And got to, travel the world and build teams in Australia and Asia and Europe and all across America. And it taught me a lot about just people. I think I've been a curious person. I really enjoy everybody from every kind of background. You know, if you had a hard start or an easy start, I don't know if there are any easy starts, but just been a lover of other human beings. And real estate for me started out as a side hustle as well. I was still in network marketing in 2016. My wife went to law school in San Diego. She moved next door to my cousin. That's how her and I met. And she was the smart girl who was told to care about school and went and became a lawyer, and she's still a lawyer today. And she's the native Texan. So she dragged me back here. This whole thing started because I was looking at, starter homes in San Diego, and it was like $500,000 for a home in the hood. And you're worried about your car getting broken into. I was like, this isn't probably a good idea. And so I went to go visit her family in Dallas, and we took a road trip down to Austin because I had always heard it was cool. We came down here, and it was like, man, this is kind of like the San Diego of Texas, like this is just it's got beautiful hill country, and, the arts are awesome, and it's tech is moving here, and the job creation is great. And, this is 2015. And the housing market's kind of taking off. And so I was just like, I got to buy something out here. I bought my first condo in downtown Austin for $300,000. I had paid the most of anybody at the time in the building, and I thought I was a total sucker. My realtor was like, don't worry, dude. Like, it's going to be fine. And I'm like, oh, are you sure? And so went for it, and we Airbnb'd that property. At the time I was listening to Grant Cardone, who wouldn't necessarily be my first pick now, but he said something that really stuck to me back then, especially is, when you're young and you don't have a lot of obligations in terms of kids or a wife or any of this stuff, your first property that you purchase should be an investment property, right? For me as a single guy, I was like, I'll sleep on a cot. Like, I'll sleep on the floor. Like, whatever. Like, I want to make money. And he's like, you should rent where you own and own where you rent, and go own this rental property that you get income off of. So we bought this condo in downtown Austin. I used conventional financing, 5% down. I was like $15,000 down, a couple of grand in closing costs. A little bit of money into the property, like $7,000 into the property with some new flooring and paint. And then it's like $25,000 all in, made $52,000 that year on Airbnb. And I was like, oh my God, this cash on cash return is like over 100%. And so it was cool. It was just cool. Got my foot in the door, and I started to see that it was working. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do more of this. And so we got 6 of them. And all of a sudden we were making $250,000 a year in our little side hustle for real estate. And, kind of towards the end of I spent 12 years in network marketing, and I realized that like, there's things I really love about network marketing. And there's things that are challenging. At that time in my life, I was looking for my next thing. I felt like I had given everything that I had to give in that space, and it gave me everything I was looking for. And it wasn't just about the money, but I realized, traveling as much as it was when I had kids and when I wanted to have a family, it was going to be hard to maintain that lifestyle of being on the road and doing all that. And then fast forward, sorry, I'm just dragging on, but giving you the whole.
No, you are doing good, man. I just actually wanted to, I realized that I didn't put my do not disturb on, and that's on me.
So yeah, long story longer. But it was 2019 where we had this great little side hustle business, great little cash flow. And I decided I'm going to get my real estate license, because if I get my real estate license, I think I can find better deals and more deals, not realizing that that's not necessarily true at all. You can find tons of great deals without having a license. But I just thought, oh man, my realtor is the gatekeeper. He's going to keep all the good deals for himself, and I'm not going to get any of the good deals. And so I thought I'll get a license, and then called up another friend of mine that I had mentored in network marketing, who is now the COO of one of the larger, if not the largest, flipping company in Southern California. and was telling him, hey man, it was just kind of a call of like, hey, I want advice. I'd like to get into the investment space. That seems to be what I'm much more attracted to, rather than just being a realtor. I do enjoy helping other people with their stuff too, but I really enjoy construction, finding the treasure hunt of good deals. And so that's what attracted me to even getting my license in the beginning. And I got the opportunity to be the director of sales for the largest flipping company in Southern California. And we were able to scale this company in 8 months from doing about a dozen flips a month to doing 15 flips a week in 8 months. And average profit per flip, somewhere around like 85, 90K per flip, per week, coming in. And we just crushed the flipping market. Anybody who was flipping, I think in 2020 looked really good. Right. I don't know if it was us or the market, but a little bit of both. And then, man, fast forward, saw the opportunity with Austin in 2020, really wanted to go break into the Austin market. And these guys had a well-oiled machine in Southern California and felt like it would be distracting to kind of come into the Texas market. And so I said, I'm going to do it, and started our company 2 years ago, started flipping houses. And then my two aunts started a brokerage 30 years ago. And so partnered with my family, who's owned our brokerage that spans North Carolina, Texas, California, and Florida. And so we've got agents in all those markets, and doing investing now in Southern California, Austin, and Raleigh, with our eyeballs on Florida in the not too distant future. So that's the whole journey.
Dang. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's a cool story, but outside perspective of seeing it, like, got your real estate license, because we were in the process of purchasing your first house. I remember that you were in the process of it. You got your real estate license, and I just remember, like, it was like to the wall after that, like foot to the floor. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone go as hard, as fast. Like, most people, I don't know, they're like, I'm gonna be a real estate agent, I'm gonna do some sales, I'm gonna learn, and Joe's like, hell no, like, what I'm gonna do. And I think that's like one of my favorite qualities about you. You're just like, dude, your tenacity. I think me and Jen always to say tenacity. And it's like, you just are a go-getter. And it's one thing it's really hard to teach. It's either you want to go or you don't. Like, pick one. And I don't know, it's crazy, like, to see sometimes. And I'm just like, people are like, well, man, Joe's he just goes after it. I'm like, dude works his tail off. The dude works his tail off and says, like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. He's like, no means keep going. That's all no means. That's all it means. He's like, so he's like, no's are just are like literally just fingers pointing, no, go there. And so people get distracted by no's. But I feel like that's one thing, no's don't distract you. No's like motivate you. And like, if no's can motivate you, like, it's game over.
Like, no. When somebody says no, what I hear is not now. And so,
tell me more.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think with everything I've done, I'm kind of all in or all out, right? Like, I'm just like, if I'm going to do something, I'm really going to do it. And I learned my lesson actually for my first 2 years of network marketing. I was kind of half in, half out, and I struggled a lot. And there was a moment where I kind of decided, like, I either need to get out of this space or I need to go all in. And I decided to go all in. I said I was going to sit my butt at a Starbucks from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. every night. And I did that. My goal was to do it for 90 days in a row. I did it for 64 days in a row. And I went from being negative in my bank account, $4,000, and being like just totally struggle bus, to in 64 days making $9,000 a month. Never fell back from that position. And there's something I think magical that happens for everybody when you decide to go all in on anything. Yeah. And you just kind of draw your line in the sand of like, there is no retreat. I'm either going to climb this mountain. You're going to see me at the top waving a flag, or dead on the side of the mountain, because I am not coming down. And when you kind of draw,
burning the boats.
Yeah,
burn the boats. You got to burn the boat. And we just had a new agent come on, and she's had some struggles in the family as far as, finances and things like that. And, I was like, you're going to crush it. And she's like, why do you think that? I was like, what other option do you have? I was like, you never do better than when your back's against the wall. I was like, so the problem is like, we don't always have our back against the wall. But if you did, I heard this thing today. The guy was like, whatever you have is not as important as you think it is. And he's like, point in case. He's like, yeah, your car's great. You don't need it. Your house is great. You don't need it. He's like, you don't need it. He's like, because I'll tell you right now, if your hair was on fire right now, he's like, you'd stick your head in the grossest puddle of anything. Stop it. He's like, so really, technically, you don't need anything because nothing is as dire as those moments. And he's like, sometimes in life, we have those moments where we feel like that. Our hair's on fire. And it's like, that's a moment where you're just like, you have to go all in. And I think it's been awesome to watch you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean, watching your socials and kind of seeing the things that you're doing, I'm like, dang, dude, I'm super proud of you, man, because like, I'm just like, well, for one, I'm like, I'm getting ready to read this book. It's Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Have you heard of it? Yeah, you got to get it. So, I'll send it over to you. But, so it's basically, you don't want to choose someone underneath you, right? That's a big thing. And you can't be vindictive about it. It can't be like, I'm trying to stomp this guy. But like, it gives a lot of like Tom Brady references, right? Because Tom Brady's like Tom Brady, right? He chose, people that were dogging him because where he was picked at, right? In the draft. And he's like, oh yeah, you're my enemy now. I'm going to show you. Like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, like he can't win another Super Bowl. Like it was just luck. And he's like, oh yeah, you're all my enemy. And he's like, and then it was like, Michael Jordan's my enemy. You're like, what? Michael Jordan? You're like, yeah, he's got 6. I want 7. And it's like, it's choosing people to motivate you. I have to, but there's another side of that too, that you always got to look at behind you and see, hey man, who am I their enemy? Not in a bad way, but I'm coming for you. And so I'm sitting there going, I'm seeing your post and I'm going, oh, I was like, am I Joe's enemy? Is Joe coming? I'm like, you're motivating me. I'm like, I see it. I was like, oh, I gotta go. Joe's coming for me,
Well, dude, you bring up a good point. I was talking with a good friend of mine, Manny, and he's a flipper in San Diego. And this is a gentleman that actually, when I was working at that flipping company, he was one of the sales guys on the floor. And he ended up breaking up and starting his own company and is crushing it in San Diego. And one of the things we were talking about was, I don't understand this concept in real estate, especially of this competitiveness between agents, because to me, it's such a miscalculation of how this industry actually works.
Right.
Let's say you and I, Travis, are in the same market, trying to do the same thing. You're trying to help people buy and sell houses. I'm doing the same thing. You end up getting a listing on a street that I'm targeting, like a neighborhood that I'm trying to go target, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go out there and crush it. You get some above ask. You get a phenomenal sale, right? And so many realtors look at that as like, oh man, like Travis, took business from me or something like that. And it's exactly wrong. Travis's great sale is now my great comp that I get to use for my next deal.
Yeah.
Right. And so the reality of it is, dude, is like a rising tide lifts all boats. As long as you got a boat in the water, and it's like, I want to cheer on every single person around me doing what we're doing, because the better that you guys can crush home sales, the better comps I can use for my sales and going out there and actually driving more revenue into the business. So I got pom-poms for all the realtors that are around me. And I'm trying to I'm like, dude, go crush. Please go crush.
I love that, because that's what the whole community is about. It's like it's changing really your mindset to, I've lost listings, right? No surprise. You're in real estate, you're going to lose things, but it's such an opportunity to grow too. So like, that guy didn't beat me out of the listing. I lost it. Why did I lose it? And so he gave me so much, okay, I need to reassess things, because obviously that guy did something I didn't. And so all those situations, it's not about the person. It's like looking, it's looking within and saying, hey, listen, this is on me no matter what. Like he didn't do, he got all those listings over there in that street that I'm targeting. Like, damn, he must be doing something I'm not. Good for him, man. Good for him. I need to thank you for giving me a little adjustment, you know?
How do I level up? Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's it, man. And I think, we do, I mean, but it's an American mindset too. It's not just real estate. It's like, as you go over to different countries, we look at money differently here. We look at like purpose and sales and everything with that difference. Like, you go to Australia, you hear me say, hey, how'd you do this year? And be like, I did pretty well for myself, right? A lot of other countries, like, I did pretty well. I'm doing good. Come to America, they're like, bro, I crushed it. Like, it's all negative. Like, we're going to murder it this year. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's all like, listen, like, I think sales has like got a bad rap in that way too, of like all these. I do feel like there's a tide turning of where people really just want, those people that are getting pushed out, the old school ones, they're getting pushed out because people can spot a salesman a mile away. They really can. I mean, they're sold to all day long, every day. Like, you cannot be sold, So I think that cheering people on is really just abundance.
Well, yeah, man, and you bring up a good point, because I actually think that the best real estate person in today's market is not your slick talking, used car salesman trying to like twist your arm into doing something that you don't want to do. It's the exact opposite. It's a phenomenal listener who is more of a consultant, who is actually going to take the time to listen to what it is you're trying to accomplish, understand your needs deeply, and then help you find precisely what it is you're looking for.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. Right. It's like, my job is to shut up and to listen to what somebody, whether that's an investor who's looking for a certain return on investment or a certain geographic location, or if it's somebody who's looking for a primary residence and they need this much square footage and this many bedrooms in this particular area and this blah, blah, blah. It's like, my job is to just really listen and then show you things that make sense for you, that fit this need that you have.
Yeah.
And then when something, and I do things maybe a little bit differently, where like, I will only show you things that fit the criteria of what you're looking for. I'm not going to show you things outside of what you're telling me you want. And when I show you something that you don't want, I need you to explain to me why this doesn't work. And we are going to refine our search further. Yeah. And we are going to start to change. Okay. Right. And so it's like, now, by the time we get through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these things that we're looking for, now all of a sudden we've refined. I know your must-haves incredibly. I'm only showing things that are must-have. I know your want-to-haves, nice-to-haves, right? And I'm trying to get all of your must-haves and as many of your nice-to-haves as possible in the thing that we're going after here. And so, yeah, it's just really like being a great consultant, being a great listener, and putting your clients' needs first in front of your own, and giving them, the proper at-bats.
Yeah, man. I think that's why you're good at what you do, though. It's like, you're a good active listener. Like, you're being part of the conversation. You're not waiting to put your 2 cents. And I think that's what a lot of times real estate agents or anybody, they're like, hey, I need to show you what I have. These are what I like. Here's the pros of working with Joe. Joe. Instead, it should be you. And that's how and when you have that, like, you're actually listening to what they're saying, you're responding to that, and you're not coming up to like, oh, I know they don't really like Kyle, but Kyle's an up-and-coming city. It's an up-and-coming city. I know you don't like it. You should really think about it, though. You're like, no, listen, they're telling you they don't. Like, they're telling you they don't.
Kyle's not the spot.
Have fun where you want to go. So, hey, I want to ask you a couple questions. So, I'm always asking people these questions because I think they're super important. What keeps you like at the level, like what, like, you're very determined, but what at the core, like, what is it that is keeping you determined? Like, is there something you're just like, this is my North Star? Like, what drives you?
So I actually fundamentally love what I do. I actually really love this game of real estate. I think there's a couple of basic necessities that every human being has: food, water, air, shelter, you know what I mean? And we're in the shelter business. This is such a fundamental necessity to human beings. And I also think there's a little bit of romance. Like, I'm a little bit romantic about this is the place that you're gonna live and raise your kids and have your family. And for me to be a part of that, I think is really cool. I like that. Also, in terms of, like we're primarily an investment shop, and we, I would say I'm first and foremost an investor and secondarily a realtor. I just enjoy the investment space. That's where I really get my juice. And I love I like taking the ugliest house in a neighborhood and physically forcing appreciation on that property via construction. And I love to look at, like right now, we're flipping this property in North Austin in Round Rock. And, this is a house with great bones, same couple, 40 years have had this house, older couple. And we just bought it from them. And it's just looks like your grandma's house. It's got, it's kind of outdated and it's nice. It's not like it's not like it's not a meth lab, but it's just like been totally outdated. And we're coming in and taking down walls and coming out and completely redoing them. By the time we get done with this thing, it is going to be a beautiful place that people get to get around the dinner table and make memories and do movie night. And it's going to affect their life in a real way. And I feel very grateful that I get to have a small part of beautifying my community, making an impact on people's lives. And so I love that aspect of the business. And then also selfishly, I want to make a lot of money. Like I don't, I lost this thing a long time ago. Sometimes people have this weird thing of like, I don't want to, rich people suck, or, people that make money or whatever. And like, I got rid of all that, dude. Like I think I've been poor and I've been successful, and being poor sucks. I suck at being poor. I hate not having money.
That's and have money. Like,
yeah, why not? Dude, we are at a buffet. Like this whole the economy, the American economy is a buffet with so much food on the table that everybody can eat their fill.
Yes.
And you'll never eat enough. There's so much more to eat for everybody. And so there's no, like, you eating a bunch does not affect my buffet, right? This is like a Bellagio buffet where you come in Vegas. Like, it's just, there's more crab legs and ribeyes, and just like, there's just, everybody can go for it, right? And so it's like, I just, I'm trying to be as successful as we possibly can and make as big of an impact as we can and help as many people as we can. And I like what I do all day. So it doesn't, I do work a lot, but it doesn't, what's the old adage, right? If you love what you do, never work a day in your life. I don't know. It's kind of cheesy. The reality of it is I force myself to stop working because I have a wife and 2 kids who also need a husband and a dad. And so I just have to stop at some point and go like, all right, I have to be successful in my marriage and my family life too. Let me stop now, but I'm still thinking about it.
I think like that's weird, especially the buffet analogy is like really cool, because you think about it, like there's so many ways to make money in life. There's so many ways. And, if real estate's one of the best, and you've done it in other places also, right? You've done it in multi-level marketing. You used to wash cars back in the day, right? Yeah.
First company I started was a mobile auto detailing business. We were crushing that. I had a couple employees and trailers and kind of running around. I started that when I was 17, just because I knew how to. I had bought a new truck and I was taking care of my own car like immaculately. Yeah. And I thought, man, I could charge somebody else to do this, and I did. And I started a business and door knocking and had a little pitch down, and that's where it started. Started a supplement company, and it's fun. I mean, every thing you go through in life can give you lessons, and even the stuff that I've not made money on, right? I mean, I've started businesses that didn't do well and learned a ton. And anytime you do something that doesn't pan out, your goal is to get a good education that pays for the loss that I spent $100,000 on starting a supplement company, and I don't even know. I don't think we broke even on it, but my goal is to get $100,000 education out of that business. Yeah. And I have, in terms of marketing and everything that we learn not to do and how to get it right and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and it's a lot of real estate agents that are getting out of the business now because, they're not taking this time with the market that crushed them last year and getting out of it. But like you make an awesome point is that, I always tell my kids this too, and anybody, it's like, hey, you're going to have like, money goes like this. It goes in waves. It goes in waves. You want it to go there, right? Usually when you're starting in your career, your life, like there's two options. You pay to get educated, you pay somebody else to educate you, or you go out and you get paid while you're learning. And that's most of the time those crappy jobs. But the thing about it is it's like when you're looking at like a graph of it, like the line's going like this for your money, and eventually it goes up, it goes down. The one thing that does not change is there's this line that starts and then it just keeps going up. And so you focus on that one, and that's just everything you do, you learn, and nobody can take it away from you. So I've learned more on the bad investments than I did the good investments.
For sure.
I'm like, oh great, we made $170,000 off of that. What I learned, that feels good. $170,000. Like, you're like, what did you learn off when you have lost money? You're like, well, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. What are the things? What are the data points that I should have actually paid attention to? And then that won't happen again because now you learn. So, you are, no matter what, you are learning. And so it's one of those things I think within real estate, what are we learning from the last 2 years, in your opinion? The last, like all these agents are good now, but in all reality, what are we learning about this market?
Good question. Well, fundamentally, something that I would say to all the agents, myself included, over this last 18 months especially, don't mistake the market for thinking that it's you and that you're that good, right? Like, somebody gave me the analogy of like, you might be the best fisherman in the world, and if you got the best boat and the best gear, but if there's no fish where you're fishing sucks. And like that's kind of been, like kind of where it's been this last. It's like when interest rates took off and had the highest run up in the history of ever, fastest run up, I should say, fastest run up in the history of ever. There's a lot of money that just moved onto the sidelines and thought, okay, I don't know what this is going to do. Obviously, the price action started to fall. I don't know where the bottom of this is. So many investors. It was so hard to get commercial deals, multifamily deals to pencil. We do multifamily and single family residential. We couldn't find any apartment deals to pencil. Flipping became the riskiest thing ever. I think from Q2 of 2022 to Q3 of 2023, Austin lost almost 2% per month in median home price. And so like if you're flipping in a market like that, it's like, dude, what kind of deal do you need to buy? Where do you need to buy at in order to absorb a 2% loss per month? That, and then who wants to sell to you at that price, right? It's like, so finding those deals became incredibly difficult. So thank God we had the brokerage, because, we just started throwing everything to the brokerage and doing a bunch of brokerage deals, and it worked out well to survive. And now the tide has shifted and interest rates are coming down and buyers are getting off the sidelines. And so we started flipping again, not even a month ago. And we're so excited to just jump headlong back into flipping and buying apartment buildings. Got an offer today out on a 4-unit apartment building here in Austin. And so like, we're so excited to get back in the game on the investment space.
Yeah, and so that brings me to the last question that we're going to ask, since it's close to the beginning of the year. What's your outlook on this year, 2024? What's your outlook, man?
So I think there's a high likelihood of us entering a recession. I do think that, I think Wall Street's got it at 52% likelihood of us entering a recession, but that doesn't necessarily mean trouble for the housing market. If you look at 8 out of the last 12 recessions, real estate values either held pat or actually went up during the recession. And so for people that are in our business, this is not at all going to be like a 2008 recession. The problem in 2006 is there was so much inventory that was being built and so much supply on the market. And that is not at all the case, right? When 2008 hit and, massive mortgage crisis, recession, jobs getting cut, all those things, we had so much inventory, and then the buyers fell out of the market. And so we just couldn't sell these houses, and then price action cratered. That is not at all the case. Inventory, nationally speaking, is still incredibly low. Austin has kind of an average level of inventory for where it's been historically. I think we're about 4 months of inventory right now. And that's still statistically a seller's market. My anticipation is we just stop losing money. I believe that we've seen the majority of the pain that we are going to experience. I think we've come through the worst of the storm. I think that we see price action hang stable or maybe even moderately grow, probably less than 2% growth. The things that I'm paying attention to are the jobs reports and the unemployment numbers. If unemployment takes off and we start to see, major issues in the unemployment of the economy, right now we're at about 4% nationally. Austin's at 3.5%. Our job market here is very strong. I don't see us having a major job market issue in Austin. So less worried about that. The big thing that I'm also paying attention to is inflation. If inflation starts to take off again, it's going to be very difficult for the Fed to deliver on that 200 basis point rate drop that they're saying that they're going to do. And so as long as inflation doesn't go nuts, I see the Fed lowering rates like they say they're going to. It's also an election year. And so historically, that's been a little favorable for, the incumbent and getting a good economy. I think that the Fed will probably hand this current administration a little bit of a tailwind and getting a booming economy and all that. And so I anticipate if Jerome Powell does what he says he's going to do and rates do come down 200 basis points, I anticipate tons of buyers entering the market. Something that's a good adage for everybody to kind of jot down is that for every 1% drop in rates, there are 5 million new additional buyers that are now available to buy, that are now qualify for lending. And so if we do see 2% drop in interest rates over the course of this year, that's 10 million new additional buyers entering the market nationally. And so overall, I'm incredibly bullish on, there's all the big things still happen: death, divorce, debt, people are inheriting properties, babies are being born, people need bigger houses, people need to relocate for jobs. So I anticipate a much better 2024 than we did in 2023. I think that housing prices will probably remain relatively stable, which even in a stable market, as long as you buy right, there's plenty of money to be made. And so that's what we're doing. We're focusing on buying value add properties on the single family side, value add properties where we can buy them at value up front, have our equity baked in, go through our construction and renovation, and then put that thing either back on market or put a tenant in and exit with a meaningful exit. On the multifamily side, we're looking at kind of B-class value add properties and something that we can kind of come in and renovate, re-tenant, raise rents, and stabilize it at a decent cash on cash return. And so those deals are finally happening again. We're starting to see stuff that wasn't penciling 6 months ago, and now all of a sudden it's starting to pencil and it's making sense again.
So, the one thing I loved about, and just so anybody that wants to reach out to Joe, about anything, the one thing he told me, which is super helpful, is that, hey, one thing Joe does very well in his company is that he finds properties. I'm gonna call you instead of like pro home consultant, I'm like pro home finders, because you just tell Joe, Joe, my investor is needing this, and Joe's like, I'll find it. What does he want?
Yeah.
What does he want? I'll
For
get
sure.
it. Where's he looking? And so if you guys, even if you are an agent and you're like, hey, I have this investor and I'm looking for something I can't find, talk to Joe. Let Joe consult with you. He'll find the property. You guys bake in your commission. It all works out for everybody. But but that's what he does really well. Like his team just crushes that. So, so if you have a buyer, they need a property, give Joe a call for sure. But I don't want to end this quite yet. I want one more thing, because I know you have something else in the works that I know we were talking about a little bit, which is like almost an OMS. I don't know, is an OMS a thing in real estate? But it's something to do with some solar. So give me the lowdown on kind of what you got cooking there.
Yeah. So one of my former employees that was working at so the way that we generate a lot of off-market deals, I'd say 95% of our business comes from off-market transactions. We don't get most of our deals from the MLS. And so we've gotten very good at going directly to the seller and making deals happen outside of any realtor relationship at all. And so without getting too much into how we do all that, we've got over 200,000 pieces of data on single family and multifamily homes across Southern California and Central Texas. And now North Carolina, we're starting to break into the Raleigh market. And so we just talk to homeowners. I've got a sales team. We're talking to about 10,000 homeowners a week, and just figuring out who wants to sell their property. And so we've gotten very good at finding these types of properties. Just to echo what you just said, we can find land, commercial, multifamily, single family, residential, whatever it is. So one of my former employees came to me and said, "Hey, I'm selling solar." She's one of the top solar salesmen now at another company. And she asked, "Can I use your software, and can I talk to homeowners for solar?" And my first response was no. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to make any money off that. And honestly, it's kind of a distraction. Like, I'm not in the solar biz. I don't want to do anything with that. And so I said no. And she, to her credit, Michelle, if you ever hear this, she's so persistent. And she just kept like, is there some way to do it? And so, I don't know if it's the universe or, it's whatever, but, so two friends of mine ended up starting a solar company. It's going to launch in March. And I started talking with these guys on what they're doing. And they're basically doing directly from the manufacturer. They're getting panels that are tier 1 panels, as good as you would get anywhere, directly from the manufacturers. And then they're going directly to the consumer to really cut out a lot of the major overhead expenses that are associated with selling solar. And they're able to bring significant savings in solar energy to the homeowner. And so they start talking to me about, some of the money that we're able to generate with the savings that we're able to pass along. And they've got incredible installers, Titan, SunPower, Sunrun, just a lot of different installers across the country that are launching into 33 states. And they come with, some incredible warranties and production guarantees for 25 years and all this cool stuff. And so then I'm sorry, okay, well, how does this thing work? Maybe this could work. Let me see here what it would take to just get in our technology and move it over to a solar, software. And we started beta testing a program about a month ago, and it's going incredibly well. I uploaded about 10,600 pieces of homeowner data into a system, and we brought on a handful of people to start talking to homeowners there. I had never talked to anybody about solar before, and I just jumped on the dialer and started doing live dials in front of the team. And in 15 phone calls, I got 3 leads and 1 utility bill, which is incredible to be able to generate, that ratio of interest in such a short amount of dials. And so it was tremendous. And so we are gonna, for me, I'm already talking to so many homeowners per week. My job, our job as realtors is to be a resource. We're the Swiss Army knife of real estate for our clients, right? And so if you come to me and you want to work with me as a realtor, or any great realtor, you should have in your Rolodex great contractors to be able to help somebody renovate their home. You should have great lenders in your back pocket to help somebody get the best financing that they can get. You should have solar. If somebody wants to put solar on their property, our job fundamentally is to be a resource for the people around us that want to improve their homes or improve where their home is or whatever. And so this is just another tool in our tool belt, of just being a resource. If somebody wants to get high quality solar at a much lower price than the competition, and they want to be able to, have a guarantee of its production and some great warranties and all that stuff, then we have a great resource now to be able to offer that. And so that's a relationship. It's a partnership that we've been able to put together, and that's going to come to a head here in the coming months.
Keep us in the loop about it. I know that this is it's something that's kind of ongoing and new, but I'm sure we'll have you back on. You can tell us all the craziness and see how people can get involved.
Cool. Awesome, man.
All right, Joe. Thanks for joining the community, man, and I'm sure we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, you rock, bro.
Yay!
We did it. We did it in like an hour, bro. That was like an hour. I was like, this is gonna go on.
Nice. That was good.
That was fun, man. Yeah, I'm excited about it, dude. I'm excited. I'm gonna stop recording.